here with football head coach Colin Bruton to preview the season before the game this weekend. So this year you're coming back with 9 returning starters, 5 on offense, 4 on defense. How does this experience help your expectations and your confidence heading into the season?
Yeah, we got a good group coming back. We feel really good, especially on offense. We have some returning talent. Obviously, having the quarterback back as a 4-year starter helps. Have some skill players back in the backfield at receiver. And then I think on the offensive line, we're going to be as talented as we've been in a long time. So that's a real sense of confidence. Defensively, we have, quite honestly, a lot more question marks, especially on the front 6. We feel pretty good about where we're at in the secondary with some returning starters, but there's going to be some new faces. So, everyone has returning players, and you want to have returning players that are talented and obviously at the key spots. And we feel like we have some of those guys, and but it's also going to be a process with some of the young guys getting their first start Saturday night, kind of get thrown to the fire a little bit.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, one of those starters is quarterback Robbie Michael. How important is it to have a player like him come back, especially at the quarterback position?
Yeah, he gives us a ton of confidence. I think he's the best player in the conference. I said it. He had a great year last year. He threw for over 2,000 yards. He ran for over 1,000. He did that in only 9 games. Only had a 9-game schedule last year. So he gives you a ton of confidence because he's the guy that's going to be touching the ball every play. And, he's a threat, obviously, with his legs. He's really improved in his time here as a passer. And he's poised to have a huge senior year. He's one of the best we've had. I've been at Lakeland 19 years. He's one of the best football players we've had. And he's also, an incredible leader. He'll be a team captain again for us for a 3rd straight year, which is really impressive. And a guy that's just an incredible competitor. So every Saturday that you have him on the field that he's going to give you a chance every week, and that's pretty exciting.
Perfect. Are there any other key returning players who may not have been a starter last year that you're expecting to have a big impact with either side of the ball?
Yeah, so Jeremy Colby is a guy that was a starter for most of last year, receiver, and I think he's poised to have a real breakout year. He's had a great camp. He's in great shape. Last year was his first year with us and kind of grew into his role as the year went on. And then Caden Kleparski at receiver as well is another guy that we're expecting to have a kind of a breakout year. He's going to play kind of all over on our offense, and just a guy that grew as the year went on as a freshman last year. Didn't see a lot of time, but had an outstanding offseason, had an outstanding camp so far, and came in great shape. Then the other name offensively, Orion Cairo is going to be our starting center, and he's a guy that wasn't with us last year, but is back with the program now, and doing a great job kind of anchoring the offense line. He's a leader. He's a competitor. Kind of brings a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, so we're excited about that. So those guys kind of being big ones. Defensively, there's, again, a lot more new faces. Aiden Winston's back off an injury, and he's going to be a guy on the defense line that's going to play for us. Tayshawn Hayes is stepping into a starting role in the secondary, so he's going to have a bigger role. Then a couple guys at linebacker. Parker Giese is a senior, kind of been a special teams guy for us. We graduated 3 starting linebackers, so kind of a position of need, and he's had a really good camp and is going to be on the field for us. And then Monty Arroyo, another linebacker that's a returner that is kind of stepping in out into a starting role after being a reserve the last couple of years.
Yeah, so this year you brought in a class of 38 freshmen. Are there any, obviously on defense you said there's some question marks, are there any freshmen you're expecting to have big roles on the team in their first year here?
Yeah, for sure. Ziggy Griffin, Zion Griffin, and he goes by Ziggy at linebacker, is going to be a starter for us on Saturday, and he's a little bit of an unconventional freshman. He's a little bit older, a guy that took a couple years off of school, so has a little bit more experience, a little bit more maturity than maybe your normal 18-year-old freshman would. Nori Evans on the D-line is going to be a guy that's going to play for us. He's a guy that we think can really rush the passer and bring some explosiveness that we haven't seen. So those would be 2 right off the bat that I think are going to definitely have a big role. And then we'll have some guys more in rotational roles. Jaden Davis is a guy at receiver we're really excited about. Lamarius Liggins is a guy at receiver, again, we're really excited about that's going to be on the field on Saturday. And, those guys have the ability to make big plays. They're explosive athletes. So could be names that kind of break out Saturday night, which would be fun to see.
Yeah, so obviously you guys are playing Carthage this weekend. What are you expecting to see from Carthage?
Yeah, they're a really well-coached team. A little different than us. We try to spread everybody out. We try to play with speed. We play very up-tempo on offense. They're kind of the opposite. They're going to huddle. They're going to play a little bit slower. They're going to try to run the ball, establish the run, play off of play action and some of their boot actions and things like that. The hard part about week one is, you don't really know what you're going to see. You don't really know what to expect. And it's not a team that we've played in, the last couple of years. So we don't have film. We're kind of basing things off of a little bit of clips you get here and there. So you're trying to search YouTube and search different areas, see if you can find anything on them. So it's going to be a little bit of an unknown. They bring back a really good defensive lineman, an all-conference level guy in the CCIW. That's a really, really good player. They have 6 returning starters on defense. They're a little bit younger on offense, so kind of the inverse of us. But they're going to be really well coached. I think it's going to be a really good football game and kind of 2 contrasting styles, which is going to be fun to see.
Yeah, so obviously it's your first game. So how important is it for you to set the tone the first game? And what do you want to see from your guys on Saturday?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a big momentum center for the whole year. It's been a couple of years since we've been able to win the opener. The last couple of years we played UW-Platteville in the opener, which was kind of a different animal. Last year a top 5 team, at the end of the season in the country. So, definitely has a different feel going into this one. We've talked a lot this week about just our emotional conditioning. It's going to be a 3-hour game on Saturday night. We haven't practiced longer than about 2 hours any time during camp. So just having that emotional conditioning, everybody's going to be really excited, really fired up when the game starts at 6 o'clock. But can we keep that energy, keep that emotion, going through the second, third quarters when you kind of hit that midpoint of the game is going to be key. And, anytime it's week one, special teams are going to be key, field position is going to be key. And then there's going to be guys that are going to play, outplay their role. And, there's going to be guys that expect to not be on the field much, and all of a sudden there's an injury, or there's something that happens, or they're in the game now, and now they're playing a much bigger role than expected. And just been harping to the guys that they have to be ready for their moment. Their moment might be 1 rep on a kickoff return. It might be 1 rep on a special team. It might be stepping in as the backup quarterback, and now it's your show, because something happens to the starter, at any position. So just really, emotional conditioning has been a key for us. And then, like I said, just making sure our guys are ready for their moment when it comes around.
Perfect. Well, the Muskies start their season this Saturday, September 6th versus Carthage at 6 p.m. Wish you guys the best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.